Eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Today marks a somber anniversary for many of you, and today all of us working at WYMT at the time will never forget. It's the 10th anniversary of the deadly tornado outbreak on March 2nd, 2012. Homes were lost, lives were lost, several counties saw widespread devastation. But those in our region came together to help one another, help support one another, help to mourn together, help to recover together. On this 10th anniversary, we are revisiting some of the hardest hit areas that were changed forever. We begin our coverage live in West Liberty with WYMT's Brandon Robinson, who was on the air 10 years ago as those storms moved in. Brandon?
That's right, Steve. And again, it's just as Evan called it earlier, the sun setting here in West Liberty on a picture-perfect day. So we're going to continue to watch that. This was not the case right here about this time about 10 years ago tonight. It was a much different scene here in downtown West Liberty. One, we're taking a look back. Of course, unfortunately, 6 people died in West Liberty as a result of that tornado outbreak. And of course, that was a very strong tornado, an EF3 that came through here. Now, West Liberty was not the only place to lose people. In Johnson County, just down the road from here, 2 people lost their lives as well. That's where we find WYMT's Jordan Mullins, who talked to some people there, remembering those difficult memories.
In 2012, a tornado rocked much of eastern Kentucky, including many areas in Johnson County around Route 825.
We thought our mountains would protect us from these type of situations. The power of nature apparently was taken for granted because we didn't expect anything like this.
Officials say the storm damaged or destroyed nearly 400 homes and dozens of people were injured. Along with those staggering numbers, 2 deaths were also reported.
We had 2 fatalities here in Johnson County. A couple teenage boys up Middle Fork lost their life.
Now, 10 years later, folks in Johnson County have become more weather aware, and the storm has changed the way folks live day to day.
People are really on high alert when the Weather Service and local media is talking about, severe weather day, in eastern Kentucky.
Most of the area has been rebuilt, but fallen trees line the hills like scars from where the storm struck. And some folks are still trying to recover.
Possibly more so financially from that time. Lost homes, vehicles, and as before, at least 2 young men lost their lives. Those families will never recover.
A stern reminder of just how powerful nature can be. In Johnson County, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
And he talked to my good friend Gary McClure, who is still the emergency management director over in Johnson County, serving that night and still to this day. And Gary wants to thank all those folks, those state and local politicians, and everybody else, including the local folks who helped in those cleanup efforts, and anyone who provided aid to those who were affected by that event. One of the first people on the ground after the storms is now Senate President Robert Stivers. Another lawmaker who was trying to get back home to the mountains that same day was Rocky Atkins, who is now senior advisor to Governor Andy Beshear. We talked with both men 10 years later. Both of them visited the hard-hit areas of eastern Kentucky, commenting on the devastation they witnessed, but seeing the amazing change community saw following the aftermath when they begun to rebuild, but March 2nd, 2012, still fresh on their minds.
Came here, parked outside of town, walked through this community. I couldn't believe what I saw. It looked like a war zone.
They were talking about how to coordinate the relief efforts, trying to get water and food in there, get their utilities back up.
And again, it's just those gentlemen both commenting on the spirit Kentuckians had after the storms hit. And we saw some of that spirit today, a little bit 10 years later. We've been out here all day, and somebody delivered a pizza to us a little while ago because they saw us come out here, and they appreciate them for that. But that just goes to show you how we stick together. They also say they saw Kentuckians helping each other despite some losing everything they had. Now, of course, this is Severe Weather Awareness Week, as we've mentioned the last couple of days, and Magoffin County schools participated in the statewide tornado drill earlier this morning. WYMT's Chaz Jenkins talked to faculty and staff who found it difficult to stay calm as they remember that tornado outbreak that hit their town just 10 years ago.
Teachers, students, F1.
A yearly drill that brings back bad memories for those at Salyersville Grade School.
When we had to go to a new building for a while, and how they all came together and they worked so hard to make a good, safe, happy place for the children to be while we waited to get back here.
A procedure that Principal Gary Helton calls a necessity.
F1.
After the events of the 2012 tornado.
We are susceptible to severe weather, and our kids, a lot of our students that we had at that time, their parents was telling us that they knew what to do at home because the kids had practiced those drills.
A natural disaster that heightened faculty and staff, ready for whatever is next.
We really want them to make sure they're following those procedures. We just tighten it up a little bit. I mean, I think we were doing things really well before, but now we just want to make sure they're really tight and everyone's in a good spot and they're really safe.
Teachers saying the kids did well during the drill.
They do really well. They all, they know the drill. We do it every year, a couple times a year, so they are really accustomed to it. They know what they're doing.
Doing whatever they can to keep their students safe.
Glad that we can keep them safe, and that's the main thing. That's our main thing, is to get our students home to their parents the way that they arrived here.
Moving forward, ready for anything nature may bring. In Salyersville, Chaz Jenkins, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, they do that every year during Severe Weather Awareness Week, but this is the first time since the outbreak they've done it on the same day, and that happened earlier this morning. Helton says the drill went smoothly, wrapping up in just a few minutes, and says he is proud of everyone involved.
Of course, thank you, Brandon. Out there in West Liberty, I'm here in East Bernstad, which was hit 10 years ago by an EF2 tornado with winds of 125 miles per hour, killing at least 6 people. WYMT's Zach Hawk will have more on that later on. 10 years ago was a night of watches and warnings. Today we have a different kind of alert, a sunset alert, something much more benign out there, but actually pretty beautiful if you do think about it out in the western sky. Outside right now, Buffalo Mountain camera. We are on that sunset alert as that sun approaches the horizon this evening. We're going to continue to see the potential for beautiful sunsets around the region. You kind of see that there into downtown Whitesburg as well. Sitting at 67 right now. It's dry out here with dew points in the low 30s. Winds west-northwest at 12, so we're bringing in some slightly cooler air. Didn't feel it out there today, though. Many of us still in the upper 60s and even low 70s at this hour. Jacksboro sitting at 72, the warm spot at the moment. Wise, the usual cool spot at 61. Satellite and radar watching a few high clouds into the Big Sandy. Nothing to worry about there. So if you're maybe headed out for fire up the grill, it's one of the nicer days we've had this year so far. In the mid-60s as we head into the next hour or so. Low 60s by 7 o'clock. Still comfortable even after the sun goes down. Sitting at 58 by 8 o'clock. I'll have the very latest on when we can see some slightly cooler temperatures and when we see another warm-up heading into the weekend coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Evan, thank you very much, and we'll have a lot more coverage of the 10th anniversary of the tornado outbreak in 2012 coming up in just a few minutes at 6 o'clock. Some other news now. A suspect in a high-profile Madison County murder case pleaded not guilty in front of a judge this morning. 23-year-old Shannon Gilday is charged with murder and attempted murder after a break-in at the home of former state representative Wesley Morgan last week. This morning, the judge assigned Gilday a court-appointed lawyer and set a preliminary hearing for Wednesday, March 9th at 9:30 in the morning. His bond is set at $2 million. Former Louisville detective Brett Hankinson testified in his own defense today about his actions during the police raid that left Breonna Taylor dead. Hankinson said the gunfire began with a muzzle flash that illuminated a shadowy silhouette, and he thought it was someone firing an automatic rifle at his fellow officers. When asked if he did anything wrong during the raid, Hankinson replied, "Absolutely not," even though he acknowledged firing into a window and patio door. The Housing Development Alliance is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing low-income families with affordable housing, and today the group is continuing their efforts in Knott County. WYMT's Alyssa Williams spoke to several HDA members about their latest project and their plans for the future.
Looking down this street, the average person would see just a small community of homes. But to those with the Housing Development Alliance, there is a bigger story.
Yeah, this is absolutely extraordinary to me to stand here and see all these homes that have gone up in a relatively short amount of time, really.
The Housing Development Alliance is continuing its mission by adding another home within the Emelina community of Knott County. Officials with the Alliance say this home is being built for a single mother and her children.
You know, she's somebody who's going to be successful because now she can look at this and say, look what I've done. She can show this to her kids. You can do it too. And I think that's very significant in today's world, especially here in our region.
Executive Director of the Housing Development Alliance, Scott McReynolds, says their mission does not end here. He says the Alliance plans to build 1,000 houses in a 10-year span, and 2022 marks the third year of this 10-year journey.
We will hopefully in 2022 build about 22 houses actually and repair, another 50 or so.
Those helping to build these homes say a family's reaction to their new home is the most rewarding experience. Seeing
the faces of the people, especially the youngsters, with the kids and things that really have a place they can call their own, that's what the job is all about.
Giving Eastern Kentuckians the opportunity to have their own home sweet home. In Knott County, Alyssa Williams, WYMT, Mountain News.
The Housing Development Alliance serves Knott, Leslie, Perry, and Breathitt counties. To learn more about the HDA and the services they provide, you can visit our website at WYMT.com. It is night 3 of the 13th Region Tournament in Corbin, and we continue to broadcast every game on our second channel, H&I. Eugene Farmer previews the first night of boys action from the Corbin Arena.
We are here at the Corbin Arena. It is night 3 of the 13th Region Tournament and night 1 of the boys tournament. As the boys gets underway tonight, 2 dynamic matchups. In game 1, the Harlan Green Dragons, the runners-up from the 52nd District, take on 50th District champion South Laurel. In game 2, it should be an up-and-down contest as the 3-time defending champion Knox Central Panthers take on the Jackson County Generals. Be sure to join John North and I at 6 p.m. here on WYMT.com and Heroes and Icons as the boys tournament gets underway here live from the arena in Corbin.
All right, Eugene, thank you very much. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, credit reports versus credit score. Do you know the difference? We explain the 2 credit tools and how they can impact your finances.
Gorgeous weather continues tonight, tomorrow, and into the weekend. I'll have the full breakdown on the way next.